Good morning, everyone. Good morning, lads and lassines of Instagram, TikTok, and the old YouTube. Um, yeah, good morning to you all. Hope you're all keeping well. I wanted just to do a quick video. Um, yeah, obviously, look, the the fuel protest in Dublin has kicked off. You know, um, you know, people are there's a lot of people in Ireland now who are paying a lot more for their fuel, their petrol, the diesel, oil basically. Oil is a natural resource, and it's you know probably the most uh it is the most it's the biggest ever. It's the largest source of energy in the world, and it's the second abundant in the world. I mean, every day we put the fuel in our cars. We use it for we use it. We use the gas for not we're not talking about gas, oil, for our cars for for machinery and all sorts of stuff. You know, I'm not so much an expert on the whole matter. I'm not a PhD in the oil science, if you will, but I do know that yes, that the war in Iran has taken a huge toll, basically, on the consumer. You know, the average person like though who has to put the fuel in their car and pay for it, only to find out that they're basically paying large sums of money, a huge cost. Um, look, as I said before, if a war goes on, if especially there will be a shortage of fuel. The economy will just falter. The economy will just be tumbling on its knees, and that's what's happening right now with the war in Iran. However, I did want to talk about the protests anyway. That's just a glimpse of what has led to this happening. Just basically that's my intro. That's my cue to talk to you all about what's going on in Dublin right now. There is a national fuel protest that has been going on since yesterday. Has been going on since yesterday morning, in the early hours of Tuesday. It's uh, a huge convoy of tractors, of lorries, of and basically just you know uh, haulage vehicles. Just basically, uh, we're up in Dublin. I've been driving up from Dublin, since, or sorry, up to Dublin from all over different parts of the country yesterday, and now they are still in the city right now, all along Collins Street. Basically, it's caused major disruptions in traffic. You've seen like a lot of traffic build up as well, and various motorways. Um, the M50, which is usually where uh, a lot of cabin people like myself go up to Dublin, where it's to do a bit of shopping or just spending an awful lot of money because we're tight. We're very tight with our money. We never say that though. We never say it. Joking, joking. But yeah, no. Yeah, there's so much happening right now. Yeah, and there's been a lot of major traffic updates. Or the last one was probably around. It's hard to tell because I haven't really heard it as such because I'm actually in Dublin Thursday. But that's another matter. I'm not gonna tell people my business what's happening. Anyway, enough of the um, um, tangents I'm going on. I like to add a bit of humor to this, like because it's not all this has to be serious. I'm trying to talk about stuff. Anyway, so that's been going on, and what I did want to talk about was surprise, 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 surprise. Or actually, is there any surprise? Now, I haven't been cued into like do what exactly. You go to any protest. You're going to have people speaking at these protests, right? You're gonna, and I and look and people look. Listen, while I'm talking about this, and people have to ask me this question like, well, Thomas, do you yourself like go support uh what's happening up in Dublin? Well, look, listen, I think I find it a little difficult. If I was going up to that, if I was going up to Dublin yesterday, where or not, like where I go is pretty much like do my own business, but I'd say it'd be a lot harder trying to get in with the traffic and stuff. You know what I mean? But um, look, I think despite look, I think what's been happening, despite people obviously frustrated saying, people coming to work, going to work, or coming from home from work, or whatever business they might have going on. Traveling up and down. Um, all I can say right now is that I support I support the convoy. I support the protest. Yeah. Um. I I think I think this is just a way. I think this is because the Irish. Look. I mean the farmers, the lorry drivers, the the haulage workers or the haulage industry. I mean just the business itself are basically just absolutely angry with the price hikes and stuff. I mean, I mean, you look up and you have a look at like how much it costs for a liter of petrol these days and stuff like that. No, it's and the war. Does the war have an effect? It does. It does have an effect. Trump is basically bombing Iran, and he's talking there yesterday. I don't know. I haven't really. I'm going to turn my TV now after I put this up on YouTube. But I suppose, yeah, I know. Short and simple, yeah, I do support them, which is why I want to talk about. Which is why I want to talk about, you know, uh, another element to this that I think people need to perhaps be a little aware and be a little bit more careful on about who, because there are infiltrators, like there are infiltrators at every single protest. There are always going to be infiltrators, right? And I know, for instance, that that Sinn Féin have co-opted this. Look, Sinn Féin into independent Ireland, and I guess various fringe political entities. I'm not going to really say who it is, but I do know for a fact, guys. I do know for a fact that yeah, I think I think that there are people who are what can I say, left wing activists. Yeah, and I would. So that's one layer to uncover. So we have different layers uncovered in the story right now. Um, Now another layer which I think needs to be addressed, I think which people should be totally aware of. Now that I've addressed all this stuff, like okay, so there's what caused the protest, why they went, and what happened, and who was there. You know, people might know the gentleman known as Musa Dogan, um, who is a migrant from Turkey. Now this guy is it's very much a danger. He was spotted at the protest yesterday, and a friend of mine just sent me a video there, of yesterday, of him. So apparently, he had disappeared from you know from the public eye for for 2 years, and I mean, he's a lot different now. He's growing a beard, his hair's growing a bit. Basically, what can I say? He just looks like a caveman, basically, like doing that. That's, I suppose, what happens, when you're lying dormant for so long. Anyway, he was spotted yesterday. Guards were near him. People were obviously heckling him because, as people know or don't know, Mossadegh Dogan is himself a convicted terrorist. And he has been in Ireland for for a good while. I he is a member. He was a member of the PKK. I don't know what group, some group in Turkey that is planning or has been plotting to overthrow the Turkish government and all this kind of stuff. Whatever goes on in a different country, as I always say, I'd be interested in reading about it, and saying, "Oh, well, that sounds interesting." But then again, I would always say, "Look, what their business is in their country is their business, and it should be no business of their business should be no business of ours. No, I think their business should be our business, especially if they're here, and especially if they're here and they slip past immigration control. That would be a very and that is a very indicator or marker, very very uh, serious grounds, and they shouldn't even be here because if you're, and if you look at what he's been at, if you look at what he did in Turkey, he threatened to basically, or I think he basically, what was it? What was it? Someone comment below, because if you can, I think it was that he kidnapped somebody and put them into the boot of his car and tortured them or something like that. So we have a convicted terrorist, a member of a paramilitary group or a terrorist group, whatever, here in Ireland, and he's still here to this day. So the Irish government, are bringing these people here, and they're infiltrators right now in that protest. Several of them, and they're trying to co-opt a lot of the people involved in that protest. People who they're trying to co-opt them onto their movement because they know that if they can get them on, then they could fall. Then they could fall whimsical. Sorry, no, they could basically, if they'll become attached to the government. This is what they're doing. Yeah. So guys, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm glad you all watched this video. From now on, this is gonna be like a little video blog. I just detailed everybody what I'm at most of the time. So yeah. Just don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So I'll see you. Bye.